I'm just personally scared that AI will just take over and that's it. Well, but actually, no, speaking about this, be quite interesting because I think once AI takes over, creativity will be sort of like the last bastion of human rebellion against it, because I don't think, or at least I don't know, whether they'll be able to, create an AI that can be as creative as a human being, with our intuitions and stuff like that. But, they'll surgeries, stuff like that. I think they're already starting getting little surgeries done by a robot with AI. You know what I mean? So it slowly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be just reading the horror stories on Reddit. But the AI is starting to take little jobs. Sooner or later, we'll get more and more.
I've definitely seen things of like AI composing music, which is really interesting.
I'm sure.
I find that stuff not super interesting aesthetically, but I think there's a couple schools of thought. So I think some musicians are like, I write film scores or whatever, and like I'm losing my job because like the AI is just you push a button and then it like
robotic surgery. Sorry, they were right. It is robotic surgery is a thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that AI or like neural net stuff in specific can do some interesting things is that there's solutions to problems that we may not necessarily think about, which can be problematic for a very obvious and common problem now is that they use it in the US for like determining how long your sentence should be.
Oh, did they?
Like, yeah, some closed source software. So like if you've been arrested and you're in front of the court and they're like, okay, like how long are we going to put you in? And then it looks at a whole bunch of data points, how old you are, where you're from, and blah, 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 all these things. It turns out that's just sort of recreated like phrenology, because like it's just going to give black people longer sentences. And it's because all of the data that's been fed into it has been decades of black people getting longer sentences. So like the data that you put into it is kind of what you're going to get out. And a lot of the data that we have is
skewed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's that very concrete problem. So in sort of social situations, but in the case of like something like film scores, man, like if we can free humans from having to write shitty music for like adverts, man, all the better. Obviously like some people would be out of work, but then we can have like a UBI or something or just more social support that isn't necessarily required, because I think I could be wrong, but I don't imagine that anybody really relishes writing like a toilet roll, like.
Well, that's something they're paying, I guess. Really,
for the pay.
I'd do it for like 50 grand, and I'd.
Like when you do it for like, if you didn't have to work, like if your life like money wasn't a thing anymore, would you write advert jingles?
Probably not. No.
There's your answer.
I mean, maybe there's some people that might for like ironic or aesthetic reasons or something, but I think it would free up a kind of labor in the same way that like certain kinds of menial work may not necessarily be desirable to do, so we can automate some of that.
Do you not think the issue is that the population is growing, and if AI start taking jobs away, there will become more homelessness or anything like that? So like the lack of jobs because of AI with an increasing population will not clash.
I agree that I think that that will not work, but I think the problem I think is capitalism in that sense. Like it doesn't like that. There's no way that I mean, the capitalism isn't working as it stands, but I think specifically like what jobs will these people do now? What jobs are like many people doing? Like there's a British guy that died last year, the year before, David Graeber, who wrote a book called Bullshit Jobs that talks about this phenomena of sort of generation, like the creating of middleman work, like work that's unnecessary, that serves no purpose, but you need someone to have a job. And even rewinding back to academia, like over the last couple of decades, I saw a chart the other day of the amount of staff that are employed at a school, how many are administrators versus academics, and that number is
it's going up.
But people need jobs. You gotta have a job. You gotta have a job. So I agree that those problems do not reconcile. But I think the solution isn't taking away. It isn't giving people shitty. Like everybody can now have the job of writing shitty advert jingles, you know, like like that's a Black Mirror episode. Like everybody at home just grinding away with a little MIDI keyboard.
No more.
We can't even keep up. We can't make adverts quick enough for all the jingles.
I would watch that episode, man.
It'd be dark, man. I feel like I hit too close to home, man. You know what I mean?
And all the music in the thing would be really shitty jingles as well. It's just like, that'd be brilliant, man. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch up on new episodes every week. Also, check us out on our Facebook and Instagram at RecRooms, where you can find out about our other exciting music series. We also have this and all our other episodes of the podcast up on our RecRooms YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. See you next time.